coming at you live from the depths of the Hive. We are back, and it's Saturday morning.
Time to pay the piper!
That's fucked. Holy shit.
Oh my god, there's so many of them. Oh, there it is! Fuck!
Hello, and welcome to the Hive. Good morning. It's Saturday, and I am back. Bree is back, and it is time for Live from the Hive. So, who is ready to explore the wild world of woo this morning? First, I do want to say hello to everybody who showed up. I do also want to apologize. Last week for having to cancel the show. Had a whole lot of family stuff that came up. It just wasn't feasible. So no Live from the Hive last Saturday, and I'm so sorry because it was my 420 special, and I had a special show planned out for that. But that's okay because next year there's another 420, and we will be celebrating that when that comes around. All right, let me say hi to everybody. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. It's I've been having some sinus drainage because lucky me, I have springtime allergies, and I get to go outside and enjoy the watery eyes and runny nose and sore throat. But that's okay because it also means my little arthropod friends are coming out and going to be exploring the backyard safaris. We are going to be doing that again this spring and summer. We've got a whole team of backyard safaris. We're going to be looking for beetles. We're going to be of course later in the summer we're going to go back to mantises and stick insects like we do every year. We collect those. But yeah, my 420 special went up in smoke. How about that? That is a great turn of phrase there. And yeah, I'm going to say hi to everybody real quick here. We got Blazing Wizard Pope. What's the latest buzz? Well, you see it and you're here to participate in it. And I'm so glad you're in my audience there. Cosmic Kyle. Good to see you. Cosmic Kyle and Godless Granny and Tobin Templeman, my friends. I'm glad you made it in this morning. So basically 411. Greetings all. Greg Hartwick, Critical Cripple, much love to Critical Cripple. Still enjoying those little clips of our classic episodes of Critical Questions over there on Critical Cripple's channel. So you can catch up on those. They're still releasing. We hadn't had a live show in a couple of months. We're kind of doing a more sporadically now, but we're still able to participate. The last one we did was part of a fundraiser where we actually did pretty good on raising some funds. So yeah, Critical Questions, go check it out. It was a fun show, and I'm sure we'll get back into the swing of it soon enough. D Parks, good morning, darling, and Ring is here. They did not roll initiative this morning. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, animations. I'm working on them. Gives me a hobby, something to de-stress on. So I like doing little visuals and stuff, layouts. As you can see, my channel's looks like a first-year art student threw up all over it. But first-year art student, that's not too bad. I'll take it. Bugbot, you are out there being wild. Andy Hall is in my side chat. Hello, Andy Hall. It's good to see ya. Glad you're able to catch an episode. I do still listen to some of your shows when I get a chance. Sometimes I participate in the live chat, but sometimes I'm just able to lurk and listen. But still loving that the cat morning show that you do, the disappointed cat morning show, and of course the little after party you have. Mark Caesar, good morning. Junk Shop Library, Vandalia 1998, good morning everybody. That is a full side chat. I think I saw a question about I do have a screen clip to zoom in on my mic mantis. These ones are still too small for it though, but I will work on getting that feature out to you because I think it's fun. So yeah, we will be doing that. So if you like mic mantis, you are going to be getting that. And also I might be going up a cup size, I don't know, but if I do, that'll also be something that you'll be visually able to enjoy while watching the live from the Hive. Rage's stream is still going, huh? That's crazy. Native Atheist, good morning. So yeah, things have, oh boy, they've been a roller coaster ride for the last couple of weeks, but a lot of personal stuff going on. I've really come to terms with, I tried to kind of say, you know what, I'm just going to do with the they them kind of thing, and kind of feel this out and see what happens. But no, I'm definitely a she her. There's nothing to be done about it. I mean, look at me. This becomes me. I'm like, this is what I was meant to be, right? There's no hiding this. I am a freaking trans woman. God damn. I had to be, didn't I? Of course I did. Because Bree can't be non-complicated. Of course, being they, them can be a little bit more complicated than being she, her, but trying to come to terms with myself, it makes things a little bit more So, with, the way I've been raised in the area I've been brought up in, been going to some counseling and talking about getting on some like hormone treatment replacements and stuff like that. Doing whatever it takes, maybe getting some gender affirming work done. I don't know yet how far this is all going to go, but right now I feel more confident in my appearance anymore. It makes me feel more confident about myself. I feel more comfortable as myself, so the rest of the world can suck it, because I'm gonna be Bree, and that's the way it's gonna be. But I'm glad you all are all here, and that the Hive is abuzz, because I was worried that since I took my week off that no one was gonna come back, and dang if people didn't come back. So happy to see you all. Mwah, from the Hive. We love you. We wouldn't do this without you, because why would I sit here and do this every weekend if no one was watching? So to my handful of daily viewers, thank you so much for keeping me going. This is Live from the Hive. Let me explain what it is. Okay, I do a Saturday morning show. It's divided into segments. Our first segment is Bug of the Week, which we'll be getting to shortly. The second segment is CryptoCorner, where we explore some a little more on the wild side of the supernatural, paranormal, cryptozoological kind of claims. We look at a video. We look at videos if they're short. We look at articles, news reports, photographs. We do some audio. We would just explore it and try to figure out what I and the swarm at large, what we think that we might be looking at. Then we do Creation Watch, where we explore some ideas of different creationists. Not all, some of them are flat earthers, some of them are old earth creationists, and everything in between, and kind of explore their ideas and what their claims are and why they conflict with science if we have to. So that's a step that we take. Again, this show is mainly just fun learning with science, using different fun topics to teach science, because I'm a big nerd. And then finally we have Hive Science, which is a little more raw. We explore some of the latest stuff going on in science, or we explore some scientific claims sometimes, which is what we're doing today. Hive Science is going to be the big one today, because we are actually going to go back and review the 7-day cycle guy's call at the end of the show today. That's going to be our last segment. Everything else is going to be kind of short today. But if I can get I keep clearing my throat and in your guys' ears, so I'm so sorry. If I can get enough support for it, I may do a special CryptoCorner this tonight at midnight. Because there were supposed to be, I had another hashtag that I wanted to cover. I actually had a few more that I thought we could cover, but we might do another hashtag month, or just throw them in there randomly as our topic for Cryptic Corner at some point. But I might do one tonight and then do a panel afterwards. We'd have some people on, talk about some stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight. But that is something I have planned. A lot of my friends have shows on Saturday nights. Germania, Answers in Atheism, all these channels, Amy Newman. If somebody else has a stream going, I might not do it. I don't know. We'll see what tonight brings. Okay, that's where we're gonna to draw the line right now. Anyway, I've been ranting and raving for 15 minutes and really cutting into our show for today. So let's get started, because Bug of the Week. Bug of the Week has been a long time coming. This Bug of the Week that we're talking about. This isn't the first one we've had on here, but we do need to talk about bees. We've had bees on Bug of the Week before. I know we had the blue bee on here, which is from Florida and is adorable, but today we are actually talking about apis. It's time we talk about apis, because apis is what most people think of when they say bee. We call them honeybees, or domestic honeybees. All domestic honeybees are in this genus. Apis, the most common, at least in the Western world, is the Western or European honeybee, Apis mellifera. They are the ones that were. This is the species that was originally domesticated. We've traced domestication of honeybees back 9,000 years in some cases, and before that we were still collecting honey from them, from their wild ancestors, I should say, because this is very much a domestic species. That is why I decided that before spring has sprung, we are going to talk about the bees. So. Just so you know, this is not, we're going to be laying out bees for the next few weeks, real bees. Next week we're probably going to talk about bumblebees, but we'll see what happens. This, though, is the most important species of bee to mankind. And there's good reason for that. We don't, and people are going to say, honey, there's an agricultural product. And it is, and that's a good reason for it. And for most of the time that we've been cultivating bee populations, that's been the main driving force, is that sweet bee vomit that we love so much. But actually, bees have moved more into the important realm of pollinators, or artificial pollinators, as of late. And this is due to the insect decline, the natural pollinators kind of disappearing, or even the fact that the natural pollinators don't just want to pollinate acres upon acres upon acres of the same crops. They want variety. So making a homogeneous landscape is not good for those native populations, and they kind of die back. We have lost some studies and some areas show up to 80% of our insect biomass in the last 40 years. That's basically since I was born. That's been since the start of the 1980s. And you can visually see it. I remember seeing the insects when I was a kid, much more numerous than they are now. I could cry and weep about that, honestly, because I miss them. But I miss the backyard creepy crawlies that I used to just see everywhere when I was a kid. But that gets me on a tangent. When we talk about saving the bees, we're not talking about these guys. These guys are not in any real danger of going anywhere. Yes, we do have things happening with the bees. The domestic bees, they have had a couple of their natural predators introduced to the environment that they didn't have natural predators in. So that is not there's not a real threat. That's a bringing things into balance kind of situation. And I get it if you're a farmer, you don't want predators killing your livestock. That's why we don't have wolves in most of the United States anymore. That's why we don't have bears for the most part in most of the United States, because we don't like sharing our habitat with predators that eat our livestock. And bees are just the same. They have, of course, the famous murder hornets that made the buzz starting in Belle and Beauty are barking. There must be somebody walking by with a dog. Oh my goodness, they are having a conniption. I think Grayson's probably going to let them outside in just a second, so I'm going to let them kind of bark it out. So I don't want to try to talk over them. So we'll say hi to some new people I saw pop in. Scott Duke is here, and my Doom Bunny, my very, very lovely Envy. It is lovely to see you, darling. Mwah, look how good my makeup looks today. I just did this, like I climbed out of bed and just did this. Can you believe what a good job I did? I'm really digging the red eyeshadow. It really makes my eyes pop and makes me look younger. I'm almost 40. Look at this face. I'm almost 40. Come on. I'm working it here. And the Trusty Podcast is here. Good to see ya. And Pale Blue Mama is here. I have my coffee as well, so we are good to go. And I was talking about bees. And I got distracted. So when it comes to study insects, the Western honeybee was like the third insect to have its genome mapped after the Drosophila, the fruit flies and stuff. We really started early with bees, and bees are kind of a good model specimen because they have a very distinct and understood reproductive patterns, and we kind of know how they function. But they all, from queen to drone to worker, they all start off just like this. It's just like what looks like a little, almost, I don't want to say maggot because that turns people off, but I mean, it's the same stage of life. It's a pupal stage or a larval stage, and then they go into a pupal stage. And they grow, and this is where we get our waxes and that's what I was talking about too. Also, in addition to what another thing that has bypassed their use as honey production is that I'm sure you look lovely too, Julie. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm so glad to see you here. Bee wax is another industry that has bypassed honey production. So we actually have more domestic bees for wax and honey in 2022 now. They have been distributed everywhere. There was a innovation of beekeeping in the, I want to say it was the early 1600s. So they spread like right when people started colonizing different land masses, Australia, North America, South America, Oceania, all these islands and everything. As soon as that happened, all of a sudden bees were domesticated and able to be transported to all these different areas of the world. They were transported, for example, they were brought to the U.S., or what wasn't the U.S. back then. It was just North America. They were brought in 1622. So they've been in our environment for a long time, and they are naturalized invasive species now. Like the ecology would suffer with the loss of them at this point. That's what a naturalized invasive species is. It's a species that wasn't part of the natural environment but was introduced, and now the natural environment staying in balance hinges on the survival of the invasive species moving forward, especially if the invasive species has marginalized or driven into extinction the native population, which used to perform a function and fill in a similar ecological niche to the new organism. So that was a little info blob right there. Hope you were interested in learning about that. So yeah, little bees develop in their little individual combs, and little bees emerge. We got workers and we got drones, and of course that important role of pollination going on. So the idea of beekeeping will be explored further on in the coming weeks. We will go into that, and we will also explore some bee genetics and some hymenopteran genetics to explain how and why the queen produces what she produces, how we get a queen, what genetic steps are taken when we are artificially creating a bee colony. So we will get into that and explore that all. And beekeeping is going to be a thing that comes up because we are moving into the bug of the week, bee month, and it is going to be fun. We are going to be all over this. I think then we're probably going to go into ants. We might just do. Well, I may wait till midsummer to do ants. We'll see what happens. But May is definitely going to be about the bees. So that's how it's going to be. Oh, all right. So thank you for hanging around for Bug of the Week. It is time to get weird with it, though, because we are moving into CryptoCorner, or Cryptic Corner. I again changed the name because I don't want to be associated with crypto bros. It's not fair to the crypto bros to find my streams when they're looking for their crypto bro tips. So, and it's not good for for the Hive when we have crypto bros in the side chat angry because we're not talking about cryptocurrency or Dogecoin or anything like that, because I don't even know what that stuff is. I'm old. I'm so old, actually. My daughter was making fun of me for calling a crop top a cutoff. But that's what there wasn't, when I was a kid, there wasn't much of a market for that. You wanted to, well, there was a little bit, but not for young teenagers in Missouri whose parents wouldn't buy them cutoff or crop tops, so we had to make our own. Of course, I didn't make my own because I was still trying to pretend to be a boy, but I did help many girls cut off their shirts to be cutoffs, and then that was, I guess that's what the crop top now. But anyway, off topic. I don't know where I'm going with that. Thank you for sticking around with me while I ramble and try to find my bearings to do my show. Cryptic Corner. Welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we explore supernatural, paranormal, extraterrestrial, psychic, and other claimed phenomenon captured on camera, video, audio. We might even do some EVPs. I don't know. Or in reports, police reports, historical records, military reports, and the like. We will always be diving into maximum weirdness here at Cryptic Corner. So if that's what you're into, stick around. And if you're not subscribed, there's a little subscribe button down right down there. It's it was to the right, or it's to the right over there. So you hit that. And then there's a a bell, and you make sure that you hit the bell, that it's lit up, or else it won't tell you when I'm live doing these silly shows that are awesome, and everybody should enjoy watching them. And then also hit the thumbs up, because that's what it's there for, or the thumbs down if you think my opinions on these cryptic sightings are ignorant. Today's TikToks, if you think that I misjudged, mischaracterized, or misunderstood the TikToks that we watched today, you can hit that thumbs down, of course. But if you do, my only challenge to you, of course, would be to leave a comment explaining why I'm wrong, so that we can engage in the side chat, because you think I like to ramble around up here on the camera. You get me in a side chat, you get me in a comment section, I am long-winded, which is ironic, because Twitter is like my most used platform, and Twitter limits my characters. So, gotta kind of find your space in there. Anyway, so, and you can follow me on Twitter. I do post about my Cryptic Corner stuff, and I do share videos and things like that as well about this kind of topic. So if you're into that, follow me on Twitter as well. But without further ado, let's get started, because today's hashtag for Cryptic Corner is walking trees, and this first one literally has it right there on the screen, right in the middle. But this is a strange phenomena that I have recently learned about, and I learned about it through the Bigfoot community, because there was a video of a tree being scuffled around, and folks thought maybe it was a Bigfoot, but other people thought it was one of these walking trees. So here we are with a whole slew of them. There's not too many. This is going to be a short Cryptic Corner, which is fine, because I kind of want to keep things short on Cryptic Corner today, and on Creation Watch, because we have a full thing to go over with 7-Day Cycle Guy on Hive Science. So let's start here and see what our walking tree is doing here. It's definitely moving right along. And if I had to speculate, Bree is thinking that there is a piece of heavy machinery down there that's just grabbed right a hold of that tree and is just scooting right along. I've seen these machines. They are brutal to these trees. Very effective, though. The only thing that makes me think that's kind of weird is that this appears to be snow on the ground, which makes me think it's a odd season for them to be out doing this sort of thing. I did not think that people did tree removal of this type in the dead of winter. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just... maybe that's... I know it's definitely snow. It looks like snow to me. If you don't think it's snow, tell me what you think it is. I was thinking maybe it could be like even an ash layer, based on the way that the dust is being kicked up by the tree there. That this might be like on a slopes of a volcano or something with some white ash, but I don't think so. I think it is legitimately snow. The Ints are going to war. Yes, I'm glad you made it to this specific episode, Ring, because the Ints are going to war is absolutely right. This is basically what we're dealing with today. This is how these are going to be. There's not as many of these as there has been on other hashtags, but I could not do this hashtag. So here we are. At the end, the last two videos are compilations, and there will be repeats of the ones we've already seen. I'll just, move forward. I think this one's on a couple of them too, but I wanted to give it its due respect. All right, moving on to the next one. Again, got some trees in the distance. You can't see the base of them. These ones appear to be up on a rocky ledge. So let's see, somewhere in the Canadian wilderness, are these trees being pulled out by a large humanoid? Oh, wow. Let's find out. Hey, there we go. Okay, you got first tree dipping off to the right. And there's a second tree that I believe that comes right behind it. Where are you at, other tree? Yep, there it is. They are bobbing around awful weird. I will say that. But again, I think that if we went up on this ledge, that we might see the culprits down below. As a matter of fact, on that one, I think I might have even seen a person. There's no scale for these trees. If I was speculating how big these trees were, I would... Looking at... I want to say that the ones that are moving are probably somewhere around 8 feet tall. Speculating, of course, because there's nothing for true scale. I can look at the spruces up there on the hillside, and the average height of a spruce growing on that kind of environment. Maybe it is peculiar again that we are once more in winter, though. I almost think this is like a Christmas tree farm. And maybe a Christmas tree farm up on a hill, and maybe somebody's moving some trees. I don't know though for sure, but that would be my guess on this one, because I think I almost see like a person carrying the tree right there, all awkwardly, but they're carrying it. The first one, you can't see the person because it's behind the other trees, but when the second one comes around, and I watch right. It takes a minute for this one to. I hate how TikTok doesn't let me point on here. It doesn't give me my pointer. There it is. See, there's a person carrying it right there. That's just my opinion, of course. Let me see if anybody in the side chat has a different opinion. I've seen lumber machines that can cut down a tree in seconds and carry it off, flip it over, debranch it in 20 seconds, and then, yeah, stack it like a telephone pole in the back of a truck. I've seen that, too. It's incredible that they do that. I think that maybe astounds people. This one I don't think is that first one. I do think it was a piece of machinery. This one I think it's just someone carrying a smaller tree. Again, my opinions are my own. Feel free to argue with me wherever, whenever, and I will argue with you, because that's one thing that this bitch is good at. All right, here's our next one. This one again will be something we see again throughout these when we get to the compilation ones, which are coming up here in a moment. But this is just one of my favorite tree-related videos in general. I remember when this came out. All right, watch. These ones aren't walking, though. Xmas tree black site. You guys are silly. Oh, this one's a compilation too. Hold on. So let's go back and look at this real quick, because this is what I wanted to talk about here. Okay, so that is actually the trees are all connected through their roots. They're what they call. Hold on. They call them the mycorrhizal network. Mycorrhizal network, where the branches are not the branches, the roots mixed together. And it's not just one species of tree, it's anything that's grown in that forest. They all communicate with each other and participate with each other and share nutrients. And not just the trees, all the plants and all the fungi, they are all interconnected and have this crazy network underground. But it's strong. It's a really strong network. So that's why you don't do a lot of digging in the forest, at least not a lot of deep digging, because you're going to run into root systems and root balls, and it's going to be very straining for you to try to break through them. But when the wind blows, then we have things like this happening, because all those roots are strongly held together. So this branches have some give to them, but they breathe and flex, and those trees aren't going anywhere because they're all connected together. Super cool, though. Super cool stuff. All right, we'll let this next one play now. All right, so you got a tree moving again through. This is like outside an apartment complex near a residential area. This one definitely makes me think that we're looking at a machine. a machine moving the tree. I can't even think of what else that could be. What are they implying? That it's, you know, it's pulled its roots out and they're using them like a octopus tentacles? Here's one moving out on the horizon. Again, if I have to speculate, I'm going to say this is a lumber operation. Now this there could be something moving through there, but it could just be a... Yeah, that's peculiar for sure. Is there a road down in there maybe? I see a thinner area. I just watched that one. What are we doing here, trees? It almost looks like something... Whoa. This one I do find interesting. Just trying to sort out, because you think if there was a machinery down there, we see something. I do see what maybe a road down running along there, like running down through the center. And not to say that there couldn't be some sort of operation going on down there, but I don't know if maybe we've got some tethers here, because I think this tree kind of pulls over out that way. Anyway, we just watched this one. This one's the one. There we go. Here's some sap for you. People freaking out thinking it looks like blood. Trees are living organisms, and they have body fluid in their body. It's that's just how it is. Nothing supernatural about it. We have body fluid. All organisms have to move nutrients around their body, and the best way to move nutrients is in a fluid state. So not a big surprise that we're going to see that when we cut into other organisms. All right, let's see what we have next here. Yeah, this one's kind of silly, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but let's see what's happening here. You ready? We've got a dancing tree swaying back and forth, and starts to violently shake, and it's uprooted and moving. Oh, there's two of them. Yep, one goes down. They both go down. And our cameraman acts like... I think he says something silly here, too.
Oh my god, it's walking trees. What's causing this?
All right. Now, a couple of things here that I want to point out. I think the guy may be being facetious, because we are very clearly in a clearing operation here. You see stacks, piles of cut lumber. Of cut lumber right here. The gentleman that's saying this seems to be sitting in a type of some kind of machine with a hydraulic piston. I want to say a trimmer or loader. I think he might actually be driving one of these machines that grabs these trees and tears them down. But if you get it from I think he realized if you got it from just the right angles, it'd look wild like what we're seeing here, and indeed it does. And this is a perfect example of what we're talking about in most of these pictures. It's just a matter of getting the right angle to make it look like something weird is happening. when clearly we are on a timber site here. All right, yeah, all the trees compete for the good real estate, Donna. That is true. Or sorry, D. You prefer to be called D. All right, then we're gonna. So we're this one. This is the same one again. Yeah, I just had that pulled up twice. That was. All right, so this one has some different ones in it, but it's another compilation. And this will be our last one for Cryptic Corner today. But again, that time is going into Hive Science. So we are going to watch this last compilation. And again, there may be some repeats here. I'm sorry if I have to go over the same ones again. I just wanted to make sure that I got all the ones I could find, and most of them are super short, like a few seconds. So they appear in compilation videos. All right, here we go. Now that one, it looks like it's being dragged along the ground. Most of these, I'm going to say, are clearing machinery. But I like the one that was being kind of dragged because it's being held up high and dragged, and you can't see the machine grabbing hold of it. So it looks like it's like literally scooting through the earth. Could you imagine the energy it would take to move with all those roots through the earth like that? Could you imagine that? And I think there'd be a lot more damage to the soil structure as well. I think it would break everything up within about a 30-foot radius around the tree as it dragged along. And that is just a cut tree being dragged through the top soil. It's not being moving through this does not have roots moving through the soil. That is not this is not Bugs Bunny land where you can move through soil like that. Yeah. The energy taken to tunnel. There's nothing they could. The structure of the tree, as fibrous as it is, and when it comes to organisms, trees are probably about the densest, most fibrous organisms on the planet. Even they would snap and strain under the pressure of trying to drag all their root system through the soil like that. This tree would snap before it was able to move that distance with its roots still intact underground. Just my opinion, though. Anyhow, yeah, that was... Oh, don't get ahead of myself. That was Cryptic Corner. That was hashtag walking trees on TikTok. Again, we are going to be potentially doing another Cryptic Corner hashtag tonight to make up for the one that we missed from last week, and that will have a full round of hashtag TikTok Cryptic Corner videos. But we will see, and if I do, I think I'm at least going to do the Cryptic Corner. If it's just a standalone thing, that's fine. And if not, then yeah, I can pull a panel of people in and we can just chatter. But that will be what? Something can be drug along, Mark Caesar. That is my American English. We do say dragged too. You dragged something out. But you could say you drug something out too. Drug can be past tense of moving something. But yeah, it's just different countries, different ways of speaking English. Okay, so if you are visiting us at the Hive on Friday night, watching this on the Cryptic Corner premiere, thank you so much for joining me. We always appreciate and love your presence in the Hive. And please remember to be kind and take care. All right, so it is time for Creation Watch. In Creation Watch, it's not always about religion, but sometimes it's about cryptids, which is funny because we have a whole show about cryptids. But when it comes to creationists, they do tend to grab onto a specific type of cryptid, specific organism that they just have to believe is still out there. I need to fix my side chat so it doesn't blow up into the title of the segment. Remind me to do that at the end of the show. But there's a type of cryptid that the creationists all want to be real, want to find. Well, the young Earth creationists, I should say. Old Earth creationists, I don't think so much make this argument. But anybody who wants to say that the Earth is young or less than billions of years old, make a repeated argument about, not that one. Oh, there we go. There we go. About dinosaurs. We have a couple of things that often come up. But first and foremost is always these First Nation, indigenous, and native populations, folklore and legends that really spur these creationist organizations to fund dinosaur hunts into the Congo, and to a lesser extent the Amazon and Australian outback, but definitely in the Congo, which is where we're looking today. In the Congo, you have a few different alleged dinosaur species. There is the famous Mokilimimbe. There is the Kasai Rex, which is a toy, but I digress. And there's another one too that's like a Triceratops or a Ceratops. And if you got the name of that, drop it into the side chat. When it comes to other creatures that creationists call dinosaurs because they don't know what a dinosaur is, you also have the plesiosaur, which or plesiosaur, depending on how you prefer to say it, from Scotland. We have the Loch Ness Monster, which is claimed to be a living dinosaur, even though plesiosaurs are not dinosaurs, but marine reptiles. And you have, of course, pterosaurs as well, making an appearance in places such as Indonesia with the famous Oropen. And, of course, you have the claimed sightings from the Civil War in the U.S. with the alleged pictures, and folks in Mexico and other areas of Latin America reporting to the famed creation scientist and auto mechanic John Morris Pendleton from the depths of the rainforest. But I digress, because those are not even dinosaurs. Pterosaurs are, again, reptiles, but they are not they are archosaurs. They are not dinosaurs. They are in a separate group of archosaurs. All right, so this is the article that was sent to me. Why Darwin-hating Christians are hunting for a living dinosaur in the Congo. Are we ready? Yeah, living dinosaurs are all around us. I had some living dinosaur on a pizza yesterday with bacon. There's plenty out there to be discovered. Deep in the Congo Basin, having traveled 100 kilometers upriver to the Nki National Park in Cameroon, William Gibbons heard a strange sound, a guttural bellow cutting through the swamp's silence. You are in Africa, my friend. You are in Congo, one of the wildest places on the globe. There are going to be some monstrous sounds. There are going to be some strange organisms all around you, my friend. Buckle in. You are about to experience some of the greatest wildlife that the world has to offer in the Holocene epoch. Gibbons was convinced that this was no ordinary creature's call, and indeed, this was no ordinary zoological expedition. It was an expedition to find something barely anyone else in the world believes exists. Gibbons is a cryptozoologist. So am I. I am a cryptozoologist. Bree is a cryptozoologist. It doesn't take any kind of credentials at all. If you look into the study of undiscovered animals, you are a cryptozoologist. So I'm going to start plugging myself as the sexiest trans cryptozoologist on YouTube. I feel like a living dinosaur there, Mark Caesars. All right. A person who pursues beasts thought to be mythological by most, including the scientific community. The most famous cryptid is probably Bigfoot, spelled incorrectly here as two words with capital B and capital F. Bigfoot is one word. But cryptozoologists also seek out legendary creatures like the Loch Ness Monster or chupacabras. Gibbons and a small number of cryptozoologists share another belief that makes their research even more remarkable. Young Earth creationism. See how it goes here? This is why this is in Creation Watch instead of CryptoCorner. So, Young Earth creationism. Young Earth creationists are Christians who believe in a literal interpretation of the Bible's six-day creation story. They believe the world is around 6,000 years old and that humans and dinosaurs once occupied the earth at the same time. They sure do, and they will bend over backwards to try to make a case for that. The quest to prove this reading of the Bible is right is no idle stroll in Jurassic Park. All right. For Gibbons and other young Earth creationist cryptozoologists, finding a flesh and blood, living, breathing dinosaur would not only be a scientific triumph, but they hope could bury Darwin's theory of evolution and prove their beliefs right. Gibbons did not return multiple requests for an interview, but has written extensively about his expedition. These texts help form a basis of this story, so he didn't actually get a chance to talk to this Mr. Gibbons. But I never understood the claim that finding living dinosaurs, again, like Mark Caesar said in my side chat there, which are abundant today because we have lots of avian dinosaurs just flying all around us now. Paleonaths and Neoaves. So we have tons of birds to choose from if you want to look at dinosaurs or find a living dinosaur. But I think they're talking about non-avian dinosaurs here, in which case, if we found a non-avian dinosaur, I don't understand why it would overturn Darwin's theory. It would definitely overturn some theories mostly about the impact of the KPG extinction event and things like that, but I don't think it would have any impact on evolution at all. Especially considering that if we find a dinosaur at this point in 2022, it is living in some remote, isolated habitat. I would not expect the Congo to be that because the Congo hasn't been around since the time of the dinosaurs. The Congo, I believe, the jungles or rainforest there are traced back. I want to say just into the Pleistocene. They may go back a little bit further than that. I'm not 100%, but I know that they are not dating back to the Mesozoic. There's really no forest remaining today that have their roots in the Mesozoic. Everything that grows, all the jungles and forests and rainforests and cloud forests, all of them, redwood forests, all of them are in different locations than they would have been during the times of the dinosaurs. All right, where was I? Yeah. So of course you got your obligatory Loch Ness Monster here. Before Gibbons could find the source of that inscrutable bellow in the Congo Basin in 2013, his search was cut short by a fellow explorer and his crew falling seriously ill. As a result, they aborted the crowdfunded investigation to get their compatriot the urgent medical attention they need. The creature was never found. I wonder if they have an audio recording of that creature, because I would love to try to identify it. There are many things that bugle, bellow, roar, and trumpet in the wilds of Africa. So we could have a lot of fun trying to sort that out and pin it down. Unlike Scotland's Loch Ness Monster, which some people believe to be a plesiosaur, Gibbons was looking for the fabled Mokilimimbe, a sauropod-like creature reported to have gray skin and to be about the same size as an elephant. Ironic, right? Gray skin and the size of an elephant? If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck. In Lingala, the language of the region's nomadic Aka people, Mokilimimbe means the one who stops the flow of the rivers. I have actually looked into this, and there's no truth to that at all. That is just an often repeated falsehood. It does not mean one who stops the flow of rivers. Whispers of its existence have circulated in Benin, Cameroon, and what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo for hundreds of years. In 1776, when America was fighting for their freedom, French missionary Abbé Levan Bonaventure recorded a 3-foot wide claw mark by a riverbank. Since then, there have been at least 50 Western expeditions to track down the elusive beast. A 3-foot wide claw mark. Press X to doubt. Hold on, I gotta do that now. Press X to doubt. I don't believe it was a 3-foot wide claw mark. I don't believe that happened. 1776, that was a long time ago. Maybe the measurements got mixed up, and we were looking at an elephant footprint, which would be fairly large, but nowhere near 3 foot, unless it's talking about 3 foot circumference. Just as 3 foot wide, which makes me think it's talking about the radius of it. No animal has a 3 foot wide footprint. I don't even think any sauropods had footprints quite that wide. Maybe they did, though. It's possible. I have to look into it, but yeah. All right. We have a dangerous crisis in the scientific authority and literacy. There's no solid evidence Mokilimimbe exist, but eyewitness reports are plentiful. Local accounts range from metaphysical in nature, some claim it's a ghost, to the mysterious. Others argue the creature prowls the Congo Basin, mostly the Lake Tile region in the Republic of Congo. In 1992, a Japanese film crew searched for the creature and even gathered aerial shots of a disturbance in Lake Tile. But skeptics claim it was probably people in a canoe. I think I've seen those pictures as well. Another explanation is that the legend is spun out of the true existence of the black rhinoceros. Hundreds of years ago, these large herbivorous roamed the same region Mokilimimbe is supposed to have. Now they're almost extinct, which is super sad. I love black rhinos. You guys know I love all animals and hate seeing things go extinct. But that's how the cookie crumbles. Darren Naish, one of my favorite biologists. I love Darren Naish. Great works, both speculative evolution and real hard science. And debunking cryptozoology, Darren Naish is my muse for that. So you want to appreciate Cryptic Corner, definitely give Darren Naish some props because they inspired it and they do also provide a lot of source material for me. Thank you, Darren. Darren Naish, a former paleontologist at the University of Southampton and author of Hunting Monsters, tells in verse that despite eyewitness accounts and a supposed recorded bellow, there is no physical evidence supporting the existence of a sauropod in modern era. Sightings are vague and could just as well represent observations of the big turtles and snakes cryptozoologists say are present in the same region, he says. Naish adds that a bellow can't be linked to sauropods and that an alleged track which appears in various cryptozoological websites, doesn't look like a real footprint. It certainly doesn't look like a sauropod footprint. And yet Gibbons has been on 4 expeditions in search of Moquila, not so much to find the monster as to disprove evolution. As he writes in a blurb in his 2006 book, Missionaries and Monsters, perhaps the most exciting prospect from the world of creation science is the possibility that dinosaurs may still be living in the remote jungles of the world, he writes. Evolution would be hard-pressed to accommodate living dinosaur. I don't agree with that. I think we'd be all right. Evolution of cryptozoology. What else have we got here? Oh, they get right into it. Just seeing how long this is. But we have time. Yeah, I think we have time. We'll at least read one more section of it. We may have to revisit this, I don't know. Gibbons is not alone in his religiously inspired dinosaur hunting. A missionary named Eugene Thomas reported a Moquila killing in 1959. Thomas passed away in 2005. Then there's full-time young Earth creation cryptozoologist Jonathan Whitcomb. Of course there is. Of course Jonathan Whitcomb comes up. We're talking about dinosaurs in the Congo, who has investigated the possibility of a dinosaur called Ropin living in Umboy Island, New Guinea. Whitcomb did not return request for commentary for this story. There's Kent Hovind, an American preacher who co-authored Claws, Jaws, and Dinosaurs with Gibbons. So this guy, making these expeditions, is friends with our friend Kent Hovind from Dinosaur Adventureland. Hovind also runs Creation Science Evangelism Ministries, an education company, and an adventure park called Dinosaur Adventureland that hosts boot camp events designed to combat the lies of evolution and defend the truth of creation. Hovind spent 8 years in jail for tax fraud, attempted to sue the federal government for $500 million, and was arrested recently for domestic assault charges. Yes, he was. Geologist and author Sharon A. Hill, who previously ran a skeptical blog and newsletter charting the paranormal, tells Inverse that her interest in dinosaurs led her to notice that the minority of people, like William Gibbons, repeatedly talk about living dinosaurs and indicate they are experts on the subject. Their attempt to capitalize on others' skepticism is emblematic of a wider problem with how people view science, she says. We know more about the moon than we do about life in the ocean. We already have a dangerous crisis in scientific authority and literacy, where supported theories and reasons are discarded in favor of ideas that people prefer for ideological reasons. Hill says the pandemic, death toll, and climate crisis are examples of where that path can lead us. Absolutely. There is this idea of just disregarding science if it disagrees with your preconceptions. Young Earth creationists don't like orthodox science because it goes against what the Bible says in most cases. Their main purpose is to blow up science as a way of knowing, and they want to go back to the Bible as a way of knowing instead. Not all experts who search for Bigfoot and other mythological creatures are out to disprove Darwin. Some pursue cryptozoology as a science. Some are after Moquila too. In 1980, University of Chicago biologist Roy Mackal and International Society for Cryptozoology founder Richard Greenwell searched for Moquila. They failed to turn up first-hand evidence, but reported hearing anecdotal accounts. Others have set out to find the elusive creature, like cryptid researcher Adam Davies, but following expeditions in the 2000s, he too failed to produce evidence. There is even a 2020 documentary, The Explorer, about a French quest to find the creature, also a failure. Roy Nugent, a cryptozoologist explorer and author of Drums Along the Congo, searched for Mokilembe at Congo's Lake Tili in 1986, which he didn't find conclusive evidence of the creature. He considered the trip a success, as he was hoping to lend credence to the idea of dinosaurs in any search to find one's dreams, to reify the experience of hunting for a lost piece of distant past. However, Nugent tells in verse that he finds young Earth creationists dubious at best. Young Earth creationists, that very idea of such a living creature is boggling to me. More far-fetched than that of Mokilembe himself. He doesn't like young Earth creationists. While the cryptozoologists say his expeditions were the perfect fit for his desire to document the obscure, he considers his efforts very different from those of a more religious cryptozoologist. Frankly, I believe in science and evolutionary theory and consider young Earth creationists a massively misinformed and misguided. Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Then we get into... While it may seem humans have discovered all there is to discover, swaths of our biome are still being cataloged. There's plenty out there to discover, Nugent said. All sorts of insects and flora. It's not so much that things are hiding, but more we don't know where to look. Cripes, we know more about the moon than we do about life in the ocean, he adds. Multiple creatures once considered mythical have made the leap from the realm of cryptozoological to the plain old zoological. Take the Komodo dragon, thought by European zoological community to be a legend until one was shot and killed in 1910. Or the okapi, which, although occasionally glimpsed by European explorers in Africa, was not officially described until 1901. It is on the logo of the International Society of Cryptozoology. Then in 2005, another discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific world and had unintended consequences of injecting young Earth creationists with a newfound sense of confidence. They felt the cup of discovery of their dreams. We're going to talk about dinosaur soft tissue. Dinosaur soft tissue. Did you think we were going to be able to avoid it? Because we're not. We're going to have to talk about the dinosaur soft tissue. But we're not going to talk about the dinosaur soft tissue today. So I do apologize if you were looking forward to that, because we are down on time to get to Hive science. So that'll be just part one of this, I guess, because we were about halfway through this inverse article about young Earth creationists, and we were about to get into Mary Schweitzer and dinosaur soft tissue. So if you like this, hit the thumbs up. We will. I do plan to revisit this article and finish it up because we do have quite a bit still to go. I was hoping it was going to be shorter and we were going to get through it quicker, but that's all right. We will keep on trucking. So thank you so much for popping in and watching Creation Watch with Bree. And I hope you had fun looking at some crazy, wild, and imaginative dinosaur claims from the young Earth creation community. And yeah, that was a good time. All right, now sip up my coffee. It's getting kind of cold, but oh well. All right, so you all know I've been doing what I call the strange perspective, which is a call-in show, or clips of my call-in show from Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist from the perspective, but the strange perspective is all the strange calls, the ones that kind of go more in line with what we do on CryptoCorner with ghost, aliens, Bigfoot, that kind of stuff. But we do get other kinds of calls on the perspective. Don't get me wrong. We get a lot of theological calls and God calls, things that might fit more into Creation Watch, but rarely do we get a call that could fall into Hive science. Today, we are breaking that trend, though, because we are going to be going over a recent call that I had on the perspective. The show was hosted with Genevieve, who is always amazing. 7-day cycle guy called in. There is some. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and play the 7-day cycle part 2. We get into a discussion about ringwoodite later, though. That's the main reason I'm doing this. But I figure I'll watch the whole call. All right, here we go. Facetious or anything about it? Is it Mr. Delasso that we have on the line? Let me know if you can hear that. All right. Can you hear us? You're on with Genevieve
Hello.
and Bree. Hello.
Thank you very much for the hospitality. How are you guys doing?
Great. How are you
We're
doing?
fine. Yeah. So
Yeah, I wanted to say, Genevieve, you hurt my feelings.
Oh, I'm sorry. I never intend to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah, you forced my hand. I had to publish the video where you remember you said you were agnostic atheist, and you said
Yeah.
you wanted the proof, and then I provided you with the 7-day cycle proof, and you did not respond. I think your friend, Prophet Azad, he was kind of
Oh.
choking,
Huh.
and he terminated the call. He terminated the call because he couldn't respond to my argument. But I didn't hear you address the point that I established. Do you want me to repeat the 2 propositions and see how you would engage with them?
Yeah. Well, you're on the line now. I'd say go ahead. I'm
let's do
sorry.
it.
I don't remember where you sent me anything, but I'll definitely look it all up. I'm open. So what do you got for us?
No problem, because I remember I told you I can prove that Jesus is sovereign over all nations by 2 propositions. Number 1, he predicted he's the author of the 7-day cycle, and number 2, he predicted its universal application as a demonstration.
Now you see here he says that Jesus is author of the 7-day cycle, but he will acknowledge that the 7-day cycle existed before Jesus. So let's keep that in mind.
Of his power over all nations by the replacement of the weekly cycles of the nations, which was there to serve as a means to worship their God. So by that, he has demonstrated power over the nations and the gods of the nations. So ipso facto, showing that he has power over our reality. So it seems to me like you said you're looking for proof. You're agnostic, atheist. Isn't this sufficient enough to demonstrate that Jesus is Lord over you? The fact that you are strictly adhering to what he predicted in Scripture.
I would say that is definitely not sufficient evidence for me personally. Just because we
Okay.
happen to use a calendar that was popular with the Sumerians and the Babylonians doesn't mean that I believe in all their gods either, right? You know, our democracy came from the Greeks, and that sort of rules my reality here in the United States in a perfect world.
Our days
but
of the week are Norse gods. Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Wednesday is Odin's day. That's where they get their origins from. So yeah, there's a lot of culture and that gets passed down and built on this. As far as the 7-day cycle, what good is the 7-day cycle? It's just it doesn't seem necessarily that it had to be that way or that it works especially well with our cycle of the Earth circling the sun, or even the rotation of the Earth as it spins on its axis. It doesn't really seem to line up especially well with any of those other measurements. Why is that?
Okay, if I can quickly interject for a second. First of all, I would like to correct you on the Babylonian claim. The Babylonian kept a lunar cycle, according to the primary Babylonian source called the Enuma Elish tablets. So you can go on the 5th tablet, verses 10 to 31 should establish that. So I'd just like to correct you. The authorship of the 7-day cycle is specifically Hebraic. As far as the name of the days, they're not universal. In China, they don't have those days. In Israel, they don't have those days names. And all Arabic countries, they don't have those names. So basically, it's not universal.
It's not Hebrewic, though. It's Semitic. I wouldn't say it's Hebrewic, though. I don't necessarily think it's specific to the Israelites or any Canaanite people, but any Semitic people from the area, let's see, Babylon south to the Red Sea, right?
Unlike the 7-day cycle, so therefore that point is moot. And finally, as far as the 7-day cycle, is totally arbitrary. So validating my point. So why are people keeping the 7-day cycle, which went against their cultural and religious habits? So every nation kept a different cycle. Every nation kept a different cycle for the veneration of their gods. So you have to explain to me why the little Hebrews, who predicted the universal application of the 7-day cycle as a demonstration of the power of their God, was able to predict that, and it has been fulfilled, going against the will of all nations.
Constantine, and then colonialism is just that's just the answer. That's all there is to it. It's Christianity making its way into Europe via Greece and really kind of spreading from there. And then the rest of the world, who had their own cycles and their own calendars, were sort of I don't want to paint a victim complex or anything, but they were sort of the victim of colonialism. They were oppressed into adapting to this European culture that brought with it the baggage of Christianity that had come over to Greece. What in about the third 300 and when was Nicaea? Around that time.
Yeah, I was in the 2nd, 3rd century.
You know what, Rainbow?
You
know. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna push back on you really quick.
That's really all there is to it about why we use that calendar. It doesn't give Jesus magic powers or anything, or doesn't prove Jesus's magic powers. It's because Christianity became popular in Greece with some movement into that area from the Near East. Once it took hold in Greece, it really became a staple of European society for a long time and grew in power until Roman Emperor Constantine made it the religion of the land. And then that was further expanded upon with Charlemagne spreading Christianity. And then, of course, we move into the colonial era, where we took not just Christianity and definitely not specifically the brand of Christianity that I'm imagining this individual subscribes to, but a Catholic tradition was basically spread worldwide. It wasn't until later in the 19th century that you started to see maybe more Protestant messages in religion rising in these colonized countries. Early on, and for most of history, where we've been interacting with these indigenous peoples, it's been the Catholic Church. But more recently, it's kind of switched hands to the Protestants.
Quickly too, because I started second guessing myself, so I looked it up, and yeah, the 7-day week originates from the Babylonian calendar, which is in turn based on the Sumerian calendar, and the 7 days does correspond to the time it takes for the moon to transition between each phase, which is 29.53 days, and so they would insert a day or two in the final week of the month. Yeah, so that's
And so Assyria, that's Semitic too. Those were Semitic people. This was part of this calendar comes down from their culture.
Yeah,
Wait, just to interject a little, and then I'll let you guys go. Genevieve, you're gonna have to do more than just Google searches, because I just gave you the primary source, and every scholar would tell you that it was not a recurrent 7-day cycle, because you're right, it's 29.5 days, which does not divide by 7. Yeah. And that is the reason why the last week ended in 8 or 9 days. So that's not a recurrent 7-day cycle, therefore it's not a 7-day cycle. Therefore, my first proposition is still valid.
And
7-day cycle.
Now keep in mind here, he said because they have a week a year that has 8 days, is not part of the 7-day cycle. Now, when 7-day cycle guy popped into was it Gerstream? It was another place where I was hanging out though, and we engaged again, and they said, and we found this Ethiopian calendar where they have 7 days all year long, but then there's a month that has a 6-day week in it, and that's it. Just that 6-day week, and then it starts the cycle over again. And that was not a good evidence for the 7-day cycle guy either. And it works when it works, and it works when it doesn't work too. So go figure.
It's exclusive to the Hebrews, not the Babylonians. It was a lunar. Go ahead.
I would just say that once again, it really has no impact on whether or not I believe that Jesus is.
I agree. I understand.
Because, like I said, we once again, we live in a democratic nation. Democracy comes from ancient Greece, but we don't also that's not just because it influences our life in this big way doesn't mean that I believe that Zeus is our real Lord and Savior or anything like that.
I understand.
So I wouldn't hang your hat on this because it's super unconvincing. I'm really sorry.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
I understand, Genevieve. Wait. One thing. I do understand, but I just would like to make it clear to you that your example is not analogous. Because democracy is not universal. The 7-day cycle is. So I just would like you to consider that. I don't want to push back too much, but consider that your example is totally not analogous to what I presented. That's first of all. Second of all, Brainbug, you made an argument. I wanted to respond to your last argument. What was your last argument before Genevieve came with this democracy thing, which was not predicted, which doesn't refer to a God, as my example does. My God said he...
Watch this eye roll she does.
would he would submit all nations to a 70 cycle, demonstrating power, the law, cause, and effect. You don't need to see gravity for you to accept the reality that things will fall. Likewise, the law, cause, and effect. By the law, cause, and effect, my God said he would submit all nations, and he did it. So by that alone, I have proven God. But what was your last argument?
What I was talking about was Greek Greek adoption, and then
Rome.
And then Constantine, and then followed by
okay, great point. At least you're engaging with the point, because you understand the impact of my argument. So you need to come with human agency. You need to come with human agency in order to argue against my point. But the problem with that is the 70 cycle predates Rome, number one. Number two, the 70 cycle was adopted by Rome, the Julian calendar, before it became so-called Christianity. And thirdly, most countries adopted the 70 cycle before colonization.
If I say a word, you tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Utnapishtim? Utnapishtim. Do you know who Utnapishtim is?
Who?
Utnapishtim. Oh, yeah, you know who that is? You know Noah, right? You know Noah from Noah's Ark. The guy.
Noah's Ark?
Yeah.
I'm not quite hearing you. Can you speak a little louder, please?
I said you know Noah from Noah's Ark, right? So there's a
he's
really old. This is where the 7-day week comes from, where it originally comes from, because it was part of their cycle of their kind of the creation myth, because it was part of the story of the culture of that time. Marduk, the king god, which was the king god of all the Semitic people for a long time. I'm sure you've heard it from the Bible, Marduk. I would think so. Anyway, he was a very high up in the hierarchy of the deities of the ancient Near East, of the Assyrian people, of all these Semitic cultures. They all had their own god, and he was kind of the top dog of it. Yahweh was there too, the god of the Bible, but Marduk was the one in this story, in the original story, the oldest version of this mythology that we have stone tablets of in cuneiform written. And he flooded the world, and he saved Utnapishtim, which is who became Noah in the later Old Testament retellings of this mythology, as it passed along through these different cultures. So they're all interconnected, but the 7-day cycle comes from that flood myth. I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it rained for 7 days and it flooded the world.
Yeah, if you read it. I was just going to add on.
Let Janine add on real quick. I don't want to have to mute, but let her finish what she was saying, and then you can respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to encourage you to go ahead and read that, because that is from the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the oldest book that we do have, and it's so interesting because it follows the story of Gilgamesh, and he wants to, find the secret of eternal life, and so he goes to see Utnapishtim, who tells him all about this crazy thing that happened, where all the gods of the pantheon were really pissed at humanity, and so they decided to flood the world and start anew. And one of the gods in that pantheon was like, "Hey, man, that's kind of messed up. I'm going to go tell this guy," being Utnapishtim. And so he built an ark and filled it with seeds and his family and some animals, and then sent out some birds to see if if it was safe to land, and
doves and ravens.
Exactly, day after day.
So it did rain for 7 days, and then after 7 days he sent out the raven and dove, and so the 7-day cycle finds its origins there in basically what spread into Western society. That's where it starts, is Babylon, and it kind of expands from there. Gentleman that is calling here seems to be very adamant that this is that we shouldn't be taking culture from the Middle East, but the area that Judea is in, that Assyria is in, that Babylon is in, all this area is what's called the cradle of human life. So all of our modern culture, at least as far as Western society is concerned, has a lot of ties to that area of the world. That's basically where agriculture started. That's where writing started. So much of the things that we consider European actually find their origins in the Middle East, and the same thing with our calendars and dating systems.
And then when the
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the story, but here's the problem. If I can just push back a little, I'm sorry. Okay. First of all, the Epic of Gilgamesh makes no mention of a 7-day cycle. It talks about a 7-day festival, but not a 7-day cycle. And again, it was a lunar cycle. The Assyrians, the Sumerians all kept a lunar cycle. Last week ended in 8 or 9 days, which means it's not recurrent, therefore it's not a cycle. That's number one.
It doesn't talk about a 7-day cycle in the Epic of Gilgamesh. It lays down the foundation for having 7-day increments of time, to measuring time in 7-day increments. fortnights are also a unit of measurement of time, and it's 2 weeks. Basically, a moon cycle is 2 fortnights.
Number two, the story of Noah, the difference between our story, which shows it originated with the Hebrews, as opposed to every other story of a flood, is that we give an explanation, a valid explanation of how the flood took place. We have an explanation saying the waters came from the deep, and we know that the earth has more water in the deep than it has in the whole earth.
What do you mean by? Here we go. Now we're getting into the science. And me and Genevieve actually make a big mistake here by misunderstanding what he's saying, but because the terminology he uses is not accurate to describe the phenomena he's talking about. We'll get into that in a second. Deep.
You can Google search the science. This is something in the last 10 years. So you can edify yourself by verifying that there's more water in the deep than there is in all the oceans. So we have a story, a narrative that says the water came from the deep. So we have an explanation as opposed to saying it came from the mouth of a fish or some weird ass story. So that's if you're appealing to the Epic of Gilgamesh with a weird ass story, as opposed to the epic of the story of Noah, which gives a valid way how the earth could be studied.
So something that's really interesting. So I would encourage you to slow down and humble yourself and really think about this, because they have done the math and the studies to say, okay, how much water would this actually take to cause a worldwide flood? And it's more water that exists whatsoever, even if you included the oceans plus whatever you have, underground in various basins. It's physically impossible. Like, it's legitimately physically impossible. So I would,
and she's right, completely right here.
I wouldn't go ahead and say like, oh, the story in the Epic of Gilgamesh is just absurd because those gods said this, but our God said that it came from the deep, and that could be true.
Well, science refutes you. The latest research refutes what you just said.
That's not true, though. What you're saying,
flood the earth multiple times.
That's not true, though. There's
everybody who's listening can verify this.
There is not more water under the ground than there is in all the oceans. I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's not. No science has ever.
There's at least 10 articles.
Okay. I have to ask you what research organizations and scientists are you getting this from? Because this is kind of sounding like something I might read in the ICR, but I can guarantee you that every single geologist would tell you that there has never been a world.
And I will be citing some geologists here in a moment, so hang around if you want to see that.
Wide flood, because it is literally physically impossible.
I never said they said that. I never said they claimed that there was a worldwide flood. I said they claim, every science magazine and every reputed scientist say that there's enough water in the deep to overflood the earth multiple times. This is something that a quick Google search will validate my position. The more you're speaking is the more you're showing that you're wrong.
I'm sorry. I thought you said that. I thought you said that we need to do more than just a quick Google search to understand something when we were talking about the calendars. But I would just encourage you to really like.
There's 10 magazines.
Oh, cool.
Magazines.
Okay, cool. Magazines. Cool.
He gets really condescending about this, and it's kind of. We do not know what he's talking about here. I'm going to say that right now. We try to understand it, but I have researched what he's talking about here, and I'm going to explain it and explain what the misunderstanding he's having here is. But we'll get there in just a moment.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.
So, what magazine? What article are you talking about?
Do you want me to do a Google search for you? Google search, and you're going to see. Give me one scientist that says no.
Google search is not an answer for me. You tell me, because you're talking about scientific research that's being done that says that there's more water under the ground than there is in all the oceans, and I'm just telling you that's not that would overturn our understanding of geology as a whole, as the nature of the construction of a planet. That would overturn all of that. It would be front page news. All geology would be talking about it, and we'd have to restructure how we understand how everything works geologically based on there being more water underneath the earth or underneath the earth's crust than there is in the oceans. That would not be something that would just be like, oh, it's in the back issue of a science magazine. No, it would be huge. It would turn over paradigms.
So I do think I see.
Well, Washington Post, NewScientist.com, Quantum Magazine, Discover Magazine, TheAtlantic.com, Discover.com, TheGuardian.com.
I know. Hey, buddy. So I once again, I'm sorry to interrupt, Brainbug, but I did do the Google search that we talked about, and I can see where your confusion comes from, because 98% of the Earth's available fresh water is underground. So a vast majority of our fresh water is underground.
Right. That's no.
But 96.5% of all of the water in the world is salt water in the ocean.
Right.
So that's why, yes, underground water makes up almost 100% of the fresh water that exists, but that in and of itself is like 4% of all of the water that exists in the world. So once again, if you were to add that to the oceans to cause this flood, that would literally be a drop in the bucket. But I can see why you did get confused on that, because there is
and we are wrong about what is the statistic he's talking about here. We will address it. He's not talking about the fresh water in the water tables.
There's a big difference
Yeah.
between
Thank
fresh
you.
water
It
and
makes up
salt
a very
water.
small
So
percentage of the water on
I'm reading the article. It's not even making any distinction between fresh water or spring water. It's just saying there's more water, no specification, says more water than all the oceans combined in the deep of the earth. I don't see where you're specifying. Can you quote the article that you're referring me to? Because I don't see this. Life Science is not saying that. Where are you reading this distinction between fresh water and salt water?
this
Where are you seeing
is, let me see, what is the NGWA? It's the National Groundwater Association.
Okay. And can you quote it for me? Can you read the part where it says it's fresh water as opposed to?
So I just say that 98% of Earth's available fresh water is groundwater. It's about 60 times as plentiful as the fresh water found in lakes and streams. And then when I look at the USGS website, about 71% of the Earth's surface is water covered, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of all Earth's water. But once again, like, just discounting all the water, discounting, you know, whatever water's underground or in the oceans, it doesn't change the fact that, like, it seems that your justification for believing the biblical 40-day flood in the Bible and not the 40-day flood in the Epic of Gilgamesh is kind of irrelevant. I just like the 7-day calendar, I don't think where the water is in the world is like something you should hang your hat on, because it's just not sufficient
No.
of
Genevieve,
anything.
I never made my argument. I never made my argument based on the Noah flood. My argument was always on the 7-day cycle. I just brought that to your attention because you're coming to with stories that make no account on how the world could be flooded with water. I gave you multiple articles that says I don't see no distinction between fresh or salt water, but it says there's more water in the earth, in the crust of the earth, than all the oceans on the earth. So if you're telling me that a flood coming from if it would happen, that all the water in the depth of the earth would come up, it would not flood the earth. That is quite no problem. We'll let your audience take what they can take from that. The fact still remains is that you're submitted to a 7-day cycle. You went to the Assyrians, lunar cycle. You went to the Babylonians, lunar cycle. You went to the Sumerians, lunar cycle, and none of them predicted the universal application of the 7-day cycle like God did. So even if I would accept this fallacy, it still doesn't account for my second proposition, which demonstrates power over you. You're submitted to the will of God. I can leave it there. Genevieve, I appreciate your hospitality. You hurt my feelings. I did publish the video where your expression and the expression of prophet.
All right, that's so that's that for what he's talking about. Now, what he is referring to is, and he's talking about life science. This was the life science article as it pertains to the water that he is referring to. And we are talking about a substance called ringwoodite. Rare diamond reveals Earth's interior is all wet. A battered diamond that survived a trip from hell confirms a long-held theory: the Earth's mantle holds oceans worth of water. It actually confirms that there is a very large amount of water that is trapped in a really distinct layer in the deep Earth, said Graham Pearson, lead study author and geochemist at the University of Alberta, Canada. Alberta in Canada. The findings were published today, March 12th, in the journal Nature. The worthless-looking diamond encloses a tiny piece of an olivine mineral called ringwoodite, and it's the first time the mineral has been found on Earth's surface in anything other than meteorites and laboratories. Ringwoodite only forms under extreme pressure, such as crushing loads, about 320 miles deep in the mantle. Most of Earth's volume is mantle, the hot rock layer between the crust and the core. Too deep to drill, the mantle's composition is a mystery leavened by two clues: meteorites and hunks of rock heaved up by volcanoes. First, scientists think the composition of the Earth's mantle is similar to that of meteorites called chondrites, which are chiefly made of olivine. Second, lava belched by volcanoes sometimes taps the mantle, bringing up chunks of odd minerals that hint at the intense heat and pressure olivine endures in the bowels of the Earth. In recent decades, researchers have also created mantle settings in laboratories, zapping olivine with lasers, shooting minerals with massive guns, and squeezing rocks between diamond anvils to mimic the Earth's interior. These laboratory studies suggest olivine morphs into a variety of forms corresponding to the depths at which it is found. The new forms of the crystal accommodate the increasing pressure changes with the speed of earthquake waves, also support this model. Seismic waves suddenly speed up or slow down at certain depths in the mantle. Researchers think that the speed zone arises from olivine changing configurations. For example, 323 to 410 miles deep between two sharp speed breaks, olivine is thought to become ringwoodite. But until now, no one has direct evidence that olivine was actually ringwoodite at this depth. Most people, including me, never expected to see such a sample. Samples from the transition zone and lower mantle are exceedingly rare and are only found in a few unusual diamonds. Hans Kepler, a geochemist at the University of Bayreuth in Germany, wrote in a commentary also published in Nature Today. Earth's deepest ocean. The diamond from Brazil confirms that the models are correct. Olivine is ringwoodite at this depth, a layer called the mantle transition zone, and it resolved a long-running debate about water in the mantle's transition zone. The ringwoodite is 1.15% water, present not as liquid but as hydroxide ions, oxygen and hydrogen atoms bound together. The result suggests there could be a vast store of water in the mantle transition zone that stretches from 254 to 410 miles deep. It translates into very, very large masses of water, approaching the sort of mass of water that is present in all the world's ocean, Pearson told Live Science, our amazing planet. And then we got some images on this, but we're going to get into this a little bit deeper here. The plate tectonics recycle Earth's crust by pushing and pulling slabs of oceanic crust into subduction zones where it sinks into the mantle. This crust, soaked by the ocean floor, ferries water into the mantle. Many of these slabs end up stuck in the mantle's transition zone. We think that significant portions of the water in the mantle's transition zone is from the emplacement of these slabs, Pearson said. The transition zone seems to be a graveyard of subducted slabs. Kepler noted that it is possible that the volcanic eruptions that brought the deep diamond to Earth's surface may have sampled an unusually water-rich part of the mantle, and that not all of the transition zone layers may be as wet as indicated by the ringwoodite. If the source of the magma is an unusual mantle reservoir, there is the possibility that other places in the transition zone ringwoodite contains less water than the sample found by Pearson and colleagues, Kepler wrote. However, in light of this sample, models of anhydrous or water-poor transition zones seem rather unlikely. And it talks about how the, well, we can finish this. This is the last part. A violent volcanic eruption called a kimberlite quickly carries this particular diamond from the deep mantle. The eruption of kimberlite is analogous to dropping a Mentos mint into a bottle of soda, Pearson said. This is a very energetic, gas-charged reaction that blasts its way to the Earth's surface. The tiny green crystal, scarred from its 325-mile trip to the surface, was brought from diamond miner Juína in Juína, Brazil? I think that's how you say that. It wouldn't be Juína, be Huina? I think Portuguese, right? The mine's ultra-deep diamonds are misshapen and beaten up by their long journey. They literally look like they've been to hell and back, Pearson says. The diamonds are usually discarded because they carry no commercial value. He said, but for geoscientists, the gems provide a rare peek into Earth's innards. The ringwoodite discovery was accidental, said Pearson, and his co-authors were actually searching for a means of dating the diamonds. The researchers think careful sample preparation is the key to finding more ringwoodite, because heating ultra-deep diamonds, as happens when scientists polish crystals for analysis, causes the olivine to change shape. We think it's possible ringwoodite may have been found by other researchers before, but the way they prepared their sample caused it to change back into lower pressure forms. All right, so ringwoodite is the topic on hand, and I don't just take this up idly. I follow my citations. I cite my sources, and fortunately for this topic, I did not have to go far because I have friends that are geologists. So I just, like, if I don't know about something, I hit them up, because that's what you should do. You should trust the people who study this stuff for a living, and that's what I did. I went to, first and foremost, I went to the Wikipedia article. That's always my hub. Kind of see what it says here, and it's got this quote, basically breaks down like what the live science document said. Man, I gotta make this bigger. Sorry, just a second. Oh, make that smaller. There we go. Ringwoodite is notable for being able to contain hydroxide ions, oxygen and hydrogen atoms bound together within its structure. In this case, 2 hydrogen ions usually take the place of magnesium and ion and 2 oxide ions. Combined with evidence of its occurrence deep in the Earth's mantle, it suggests that there is from 1 to 3 times the world's ocean's equivalence of water in the mantle transition zone, from 410 to 660 kilometers deep. So this keeps getting claimed here, talking about how it's water, that there's water deep down in here, down in the mantle of the Earth. So I have a friend named Steve Bauman, who is a geologist, also a Canadian geologist, and like the one who just made the discovery. But Steve Bauman is a well-known critic of Wikipedia geology articles because they are often poorly sourced. So I reached out to Steve Bauman and I said, is ringwoodite proof that there's more water in the Earth's mantle than there is on the surface? And I got a response, and I got permission to use it. As you can see, I always put my receipts. Steve Bauman responds, it depends on who you ask. Technically, hydroxide is not water. Some people say it is. In geology, we really don't. That being said, you get a lot of media buzz, and even in some papers, they'll say water in the mantle. That is not what it is, right? Because water molecules cannot survive at that level of pressure. So, no, it's not water. It is hydrogen molecules and oxygen molecules locked within these crystalline structures, not in the form of water, not in gas, solid, or liquid. But I'll read on what Stephen has to say. The OH negative is chemically bound. It's an ion. It's reactive. Water is neutral. That right there doesn't make it water. we don't classify chemicals based off potential to form another. So yeah, it's like saying just because you have 2 oxygens and 1 hydrogen does not mean that you have water. They have to be bound. They have to be bonded to be considered water. The ringwoodite, the oxygen and hydrogen are not bonded. They're not water. So there's potential for more water in the mantle of the earth, but it is not water at this current time. Here we go. We don't classify chemicals. Yeah, yes, we are. We don't classify chemicals based off potential to form another. We don't say telespars have salt because they contain Na+. Hydrous is not a synonym for water. Even for the sake of argument, of there was physical water in the mantle, it still wouldn't be water. It's under so much pressure, it would form one of the obscure ices. Ice isn't water any more than granite is magma. As scientists, we are bad at communicating things like this, and we don't really spend a lot of time combating it because we are too busy combating the absolute bottom feeders. But we are not blameless here. Instead of using words like hydrous, we will often just say water, which is incorrect. So yeah, it's the way that this is being communicated, and I agree. Steve and his credentials should not be wasting their time battling stuff like that. Let low-rung heroes like myself come up to bat to contend with these nonsense claims. Actually, below the lithosphere, is still no conclusive evidence of hydrous minerals. We think there is because of certain minerals in rocks through high pressure experiments and what do you say, it's ophiolite. I wonder if the fruit word of that is snake, because I know opho is snake. There we are. But many minerals can form in multiple environments. Hydrous minerals could be in the asthenosphere. I'll take Steve's word for it on that, but that doesn't mean they are. Even if they were, good luck getting it to the surface. We do know water exists throughout the crust and even in descending slabs. It almost always makes its way back to the surface before getting sucked into the mantle. The quantities aren't that large anyway. There is zero evidence that the oceans have more water in them now than 4 billion years ago. Any OH negative that may be bounded to other things in the mantle is most likely stuck there, never to escape, it seems. And that was quite concise. I said thank you. I asked him if I could quote him on this. Steve is a cool dude, so he said yes, of course. But that's not all. I also have my friend Orgay, and as you see, there's a heart there because I love Orgay. I love their cadence and candor and love interacting with them. If you are not subscribed to Orgay 343, that's let's see, ORGRE or ORGE 343, yeah. On YouTube, they got a great channel out there. But I reached out and they also gave me lots of sources to help me build this presentation for you. But this was their direct response. As a geologist, ringwoodite can absorb water, but it can't absorb water in liquid, solid, or gas form. High temperatures and pressure don't just transform olivine into ringwoodite. They also cause water molecules to split. So yeah, you just have ions. This creates hydroxyl radicals. Again, we're talking about the OH negative here. Pores in the ringwoodite absorb the hydroxyl radicals. This traps the broken down water inside mineral molecule structures. So basically, the hydrogen and oxygen are part of a different elemental chain, creating the ringwoodite, and they are not, I repeat, not water. At that point, they include elements that were water. Someone that's a geologist or that studies geology named V. Smith in the talk section on the wiki page also had some few things to say about this topic. They said hydrate ringwoodite contains up to 1.6% water molecules. And then ringwoodite is no more contains water than it does sodium hydroxide. I might be corrected to ringwoodite is notable for being able to incorporate water into its structure as hydroxide ions. The hydroxide ion is composed of a single oxygen atom chemically bound to a hydrogen atom, OH, and have a negative charge. Modified the water hype a bit. Could likely use more science and less journalistic hype, right? No one has ever drilled nor found anything 400 kilometers down or 600 kilometers down. Found is not the word to be used. It's a lie. Regarding the above, at least one sample of ringwoodite has been found as a diamond inclusion. Also, the whole page should perhaps be merged with different, provite, which is a more or less the same. It's somewhat about the actual perovskite and somewhat about the products it turns into at low pressure. But the stuff could just be subtopic on the page. Mantle reservoir is found to contain, shouldn't it be believed to contain or hypothesized, theorized to contain, as we haven't found it there yet in the strictest sense. I would think that this should be moved to a new category about a theory of bodies of water in the earth underneath the crust. We should be able to test for something like that sometime in the near future. Might be able to already with fossils fueling finding tech that we already have. Many articles like this guessing about origins of a matter end up being something different in the end. So I'm not sure this should be in the fact for ringwoodite. Keep it in perspective. At this, let's see, this is kind of small, sorry. All of this is based on one tiny 40 micrometer speck. And then our friend V. Smith comes back with, there is no body of water within the mantle. That one tiny crystal of ringwoodite is simply a verification of the high pressure geochemistry, mineral chemistry studied at geophysic seismic studies of the mantle, which indicate, got that covered up, in the amount of hydrogen and hydrous ions structurally bound within the minerals of the mantle. Orge is here. Yes, this is the ringwoodite section that I talked about. I just had a quote from you up on the screen. Please subscribe to Orge. They just did a good video again responding to the Limestone Bros, which are creation research team of Joseph Hubbard and John Mackey. They do some young Earth creation geology, and Orge tears it right apart. Anyway, so yeah, this is the ringwoodite, and I bugged Orge for a couple of days about this to get to juice him of all his knowledge on the subject. But this is what we came up with, and this is the presentation to respond to 7 Day Cycle Guy's claims about the nature of water within the mantle. It's not water; it is the ions that that could be used to create water. And it's the ions that are believed to have been subducted with the mantle and trapped. But when they get down there, they aren't water. It's not water anymore. Too much pressure. It's too heavy for water molecules to form. So you just got the one hydrogen and one oxygen model bonded together. Yeah, bugged. Yep, I juiced the Orge. What happens to the other oxygen ion in that scenario? Because it should be two of them, right? Orge, let us know. Let what happens to that other oxygen, because I'm not sure when it squeezes it out. But thank you so much for joining us in the Hive today. This was a fun topic. I will have to do more stuff like this. I've never really delved into much geology. It's just not something that I'm especially versed in. But I have friends in basically all the STEM fields, because I like nerdy stuff and I like learning from nerdy people. Like our friend Orge in the side chat there. We also had our astrophysicist and climate scientist, Pale Blue Mama, out there. We have several folks in here who are more than knowledgeable about the contents of the Bible. We have Greg Hartwick, who's a microbiologist. I have a lot of STEM friends who help me along as we explore these topics. I didn't even see Paul Camish came in. Hey, Paul Camish, thank you for joining if you're still here. I am just wrapping up here, and I just wanted to say thank you for everybody for coming. Germania, late again, I see. Late again. Well, I hope that at least if you caught this last segment, that it was something you found entertaining. And I do hope everybody returns to the Hive next Saturday. And Orge, I am thinking about doing a midnight stream tonight. If you guys want to come hang out with me, I will be doing, I'll start off by doing some, probably before midnight though, we'll be doing some TikTok hashtags for CryptoCorner, because I need to make up for the missed CryptoCorner, at least to keep my schedule. So I will be doing that at some point. Whether I do the panel or not, it's really going to depend on if there's an interest in coming in. I would be happy to see everyone there if you have time. Also, like I said, subscribe to Orge's channel for more awesome geology stuff. And if you watch Modern Day Debate and you watch that mud fossil conversation that was Gutsick Gibbon and her friend Jonathan were debating in, if you like that, like seeing people engage with those kind of mud fossil claims and lost giants and stuff, then go check out Orge 343, because they often engage with places like Mud Fossil University. And other than that, please remember to be kind, to take care, and we will see you next Saturday.